really smashed his opposition. He looked great.
Yeah, so let's also introduce their opponents.
알 수 있습니다. 외계일수록 더욱 강해지는 팀. 오늘을 위해 준비한 승부수가 기대되는 팀. SK텔레콤 T1.
SKT, the squad that has had so much history in games across the board, not just League of Legends, but beginning to falter a little bit here for this season, Papa.
I mean, I think that SpoTV have it right. The tough schedule continues. Doesn't get much easier after that loss in the Telecom war. Have to face a Kingzone team that had just won. Look at the lineup, though. First ever start for Tal in the first game of a series. Effort as well. The experience, and you mentioned it, the greatest squad ever in League of Legends. The team part, you know, the names have changed, and we are still waiting to see what level Tal, Effort, and this new generation of SKT, still anchored by Faker, can actually reach.
Yeah, Faker, I think he needs to step up a little bit as well. He's had a couple of weak games, you know, everybody pointing to his Vladimir in their last series and saying, you know, he's not the perfect Faker we always once knew. But I'm sure he's got that in the back of his mind. He's a really competitive player. It's part of the reason why he's so good.
And I have to say I don't agree, just because I've seen how good Faker has been. Sure, he's made errors, but he has hard carried this team from the mid lane in losses, in victories. If him making one mistake loses SKT games, they need more carries. They
Yeah.
need more people helping him out. Faker has still been a mammoth of a player in spring season so far. But like you say, the results don't show it. SKT have played 9 games. They have never had a 2-0 series. They're playing the maximum. Already their 10th game on the Rift in their 4th series.
The fan sign said she wanted to see some Bang Ezreal. I don't think we're going to be seeing that because it gets banned out every time. But let's go over some key points in the matchup. There's nothing wrong with the champions. It's yourself. Fix your mechanics. Fix your fingers. Because Khan, he knows exactly what to do.
And the crazy thing is that Rascal looked decent when we saw him in the first series. We thought, okay, it's not about Rascal. Khan came in, and he made Rascal look like an amateur. He was outstanding on the Gnar in a slow game, taking turrets on the Shen. That's straightforward. But what he can do on the Jace stops the Gnar from being a blind pick unless you ban the Jace. Banning Jace felt like a 2017 thing against Khan. It's a 2018 thing now as well.
He's made it. He's brought it into the new year. Top is still unstable for SKT. Untara did not look very strong in his last matchup, and that's why they bring in Tal. But even he is not necessarily carrying from the top lane.
I mean, he's new. You know, he played in Challenger in Europe. He'd spent a little bit of time in the lower divisions in China, but starting for SK Telecom T1, the most popular squad in Korea by a mile, is such a different proposition. You wanted to give him time. You thought Untara could be the starter for a long time, and then eventually they could blood Tal later in the season, but they feel forced to play him already. As we look at some of Faker's champions that don't necessarily sit well with him, we saw the stat 2-5 before the last game, now 2-6 for the Vladimir. Does feel like Faker tries to really test his limits on Ghost Flash Vladimir, tries to make lots of things happen. He gets roamed upon in previous games. In the last game, he misjudged his tankiness. He used his Zonias and his pull at the same time. These are 2 picks that he's played recently that aren't necessarily the winning champions we're used to from Faker.
Yeah, it's really rough for him, especially, you know, playing the Kassadin in the 94-minute game up against Jin Air and losing because he got caught on the Kassadin. It's just got to be bad feels all around for him with those particular champions. So prove yourself. Let's see some records in 2017 between Bang and Prey, 2 of the biggest AD carries in Korea.
I mean, neither of these guys have had the start they might have wanted. I would say that Bang has been good, especially on Ezreal. Prey has kind of been a peripheral figure on his team. Prey and Gorilla have been decent. Gorilla with that big engage to win them game 1. But it hasn't been Prey, you know, separating himself from the pack like he was able to do by the end of the summer. He had Khan doing the heavy lifting in the last series. We know that Prey and Bang are both legends of the game. They will eventually rise again, but you have to stand up and be counted. Kingzone will come in favorites for this series over SKT, but SKT, they are not considering a week 2 where they end up 1-3, and that will happen if they lose to Kingzone.
This man especially, Koma, he is trying to make sure that his team does not end up 1-3, but it's going to be a hard feat to defeat Kingzone tonight. Guys, the entire studio is packed right now. Even the sign that we just saw there said, I took time off of work, like I put in my vacation to come watch this match, to be here on time. So everybody is super excited for this matchup. I know I am. It's gonna be a banger, Papa Smithy.
I mean, it's my birthday and I'm still here, so it tells you about vacation days. I don't get any, but I wouldn't have used them anyway, Valdez, because it's the matchup I want to see. This is something that everyone around the world can enjoy. A rematch of that famous victory, the fairy tale coming true when we did see Longzhu Gaming, now Kingzone, take down SKT last year. We get to see it again. It was in the Kesper Cup. That was a 2-0 victory. That was a taster for Pino. He felt good. It was a good series from him. He thought, okay, I've avenged myself a little bit. But doing it in the LCK and also inflicting further pain on SKT, pushing them to 1-3, I think Peanut is happy to be starting, but there's no guarantees. Unless he puts in a good performance, he'll be playing game 2.
Yeah. I don't know. I was one of those guys that when I saw Cuz come in, I was like, well, this just looks like, you know, the right formation for Longzhu, or former Longzhu. But we'll have to wait and see. I think Peanut's coming into his own form on this team, trying to make it work here. We've been on camera for a long time.
I love it.
We've
More
been on the
Papa
Korean
time.
one.
That's what people
I
want.
don't think so, but either way, guys, it looks like Pick and Ban is ready for this first game. So let's get right into it. Wow, right off the bat, Kingzone on blue side banning out Vladimir. They don't want to see that in this game.
Tal had a really good Vladimir performance recently. They're going to try and ban away Flex Pick with that, and they actually ban away the Sivir, which does raise the priority of something like Ezreal quite a lot. You'll notice on red side the Jace ban already, and it seems like SKT don't need to see another Galio to know that the noted Galio pickers of the past, BDD, and we saw yesterday Pawn, will be able to return to that pick anytime they want. So Galio banned away from a team that loved to run Kha'Zix and Galio. The AD carry pool, which was left open in a lot of series yesterday, is being targeted. It's looking like a first pick Ezreal if we don't see a ban.
Wow, they're going to go ahead and ban out the Azir here.
Now, Sejuani is also open, and Peanut, if he's playing a tank jungler, does prioritize it. So SKT smartly say, what do you want? Ryze also being available means this could just be Sejuani Ezreal as a trade. So banning away Azir could open up a lot of options, and they go straight past the Ezreal. Seems like SKT, after their late game woes, are saying, how about some late game scaling, Valdez?
I like the idea. Maybe they're trying to conform to the current meta that we have on 8.1 a little bit. We already see that Severe is banned out already, so might as well take the Kog'Maw and try to scale it up. Kingzone thinking about the Ezreal, definitely still a very tempting pick, and we all know that Prey can also play it as well.
Yeah, one of his most famous picks, the Varus, also something to consider, but not necessarily something that has been as clean for Kingzone recently, so why not go for the Ultra Comfort? We're still on patch 8.1, so no Klepto Nurse, no other reasons to not pick up the Ezreal. And speaking of Ultra Comfort, the champions that both these players made their names on, it was Twitch and Ezreal for Prey. Well, in his Najin days, it was all about Gorilla on the Janna. So Ezreal Janna not often seen as a completed duo. They're going to consider it heavily. They leave it open. Effort had a really good game on the Janna in that long loss against Jinna, interrupting so many Ornn ultimates. And speaking of blasts from the past, we have seen Faker dunk noobs with the Master Yi, but probably not today.
God, why do they have to do this, you know? One time you just gotta lock it in, right? Okay, never mind. Malzahar probably gonna be at the pick. There it is, locked in. And yeah, we're gonna have Ryze versus Malzahar, a matchup that you guys have seen maybe too much here in 8.1.
Yeah, Malzahar Nurse, future things, so for now, not something to talk about. I imagine that SKT will try to last pick for Tal, try to give him a good matchup. You know that Kingzone will try to get as much laning power as possible on the blue side. I don't know if you're first picking on the red side a gangplank in this game, because you respect Khan to run away with lanes whenever he's given an invitation. We do see the Gnar ban. Gnar versus GP was certainly the meta top lane matchup during yesterday's games. Whenever you see Sejuani, Kog'Maw, you can kind of piece together there will be some tanky frontliners for the Kog'Maw to do damage in front of. So Tom Kench, a smart ban from Kingzone.
Yeah, we're going to see Jarvan and Gnar banned out here as well. I was talking to you earlier about how we see Gnar in basically every game because it's right on the cusp of not being banned. If it ever does get banned, it's always in phase 2 when the top laners have not been picked. So we do see it picked out or banned out there. Kingzone thinking a lot more about their secondary bans here, really putting in the time and thought about what they want to do. Down to the wire, and they banned Nasus. That was a mistake. They just couldn't think of anything, or they wanted to keep one of those picks open for themselves.
We've actually seen some Nasus in solo queue going for coin Nasus in certain matchups against the lower presence champions. It's actually been seen as a quasi counter to the Gangplank, just farming up in lane as the Gangplank farms as well. So I'm actually think this is an intentional ban there from the side of Kingzone, even though it looks like a bit of a troll to most people.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. You do see that GP is picked up for Tal, so they're saving the counter here for the support role. Looks like they're not going to pick that up just yet.
The surprise there is they're giving Kingzone 2 lanes you know they're going to be comfortable with. Kingzone will be pivoting and having Ryze in a side lane. They will also have lane presence with the Camille into the Gangplank, so all-in options in 2 lanes. The thing about Korea is we love the Ryze and Camille side lane champions for the ability to, in the mid game, really take over the side lanes and use the Realm Warp to its maximum. We still, of course, have the stopwatch escapes on the Ryze. And we're going full mid game for Kingzone. Peanut back on the Comfort Kha'Zix.
It's a nice little drawing of Tal. I suppose that's maybe Gnar that she has drawn. I don't really know what that is. But going into the support pick, it is going to be the Alistar. You were talking about a tanky frontline, another engage here for SKT, and another very popular pick that we see all the time is this Alistar.
So lineup from SKT is a sort of lineup where Peanut, just like Cuz we saw previously, can flourish. Turret dives between the Camille and Kha'Zix make the Gangplank very vulnerable, especially before the stopwatch arms at 6 minutes into the game. Ryze also for the rotational play. Kingzone have a lot of early options. There is some outscale to SKT. If the side lane ever has Gangplank with pressure over Camille, then headaches do actually begin for Kingzone. They have very strong late game team fighting, but Kingzone are no slouches either. We'll see how the Kha'Zix does. The Feast or Famine Kha'Zix usually sets the tone for how a team will do.
Yeah. You'd have to imagine that Blake will spend a lot of time up towards the top side of the map. You know, it's going to be hard to be ganking the Ezreal Braum composition down there, and Bang & Effort can kind of hold their own. Whereas, you know, they have to take care of this Gangplank and even stay near the Malzahar, near level 6, so they might have an opportunity near the Ryze. If they can just 100-0 him before he can get his stopwatch combo to escape, definitely another opportunity if they want to be more aggressive with that Sejuani.
Kingzone have great level 1 options as well with the Braum and the Camille. Both of them deadly for long-range engage at level 1, so we might actually see them abuse that. They were very aggressive in the Kesper Cup against SKT-T1, never let up, consistently invading in that series, and I expected to see them do that here as well, whereas on the side of SKT, scaling, Kog'Maw and Gangplank don't really need any more explanation there. See how Faker is doing today. He certainly has had those high-profile single moments as a counterpoint to a lot of greatness in his recent performances.
Well, I think he's going to be showing up tonight, or at least he has to, up against Kingzone. It looks like the game is already, the countdown has started. SKT versus Kingzone right now. So guys, it looks like we have a bit of a pause, and when I say right now, I mean probably in about 2 minutes.
They were playing the epic music. We couldn't talk over that, Valdez. Wouldn't have been right.
Yeah, it slowly just got quieter and quieter, and we're like, oh, okay, I guess we can talk now. So apparently it was just a lighting issue. They're going to turn down some of the lights because it was too bright shining into the booth. So
I mean, these stars on the screen are distracting me as well, Valdez. So. I understand what's going on there. I saw Prey, I saw Faker, I got flustered, but we get some game finally.
Here we go, guys. As I said before, and as you guys can probably tell by the thunderous applause, the studio is entirely packed out. Pretty much every single chair has a person in it. And that's what you'd expect for Kingzone versus SKT.
It's a rivalry that even though some of the names have changed, you know, with 3 out of 5 of the 2016 Rocks Tigers against their mortal enemies in SK Telecom T1. Worth noting, of course, names have changed there as well. The years roll on, people come, people go. We still have Prey Gorilla versus Bang and Faker, which is still already a very big highlight matchup. As speaking of Faker, want to exert as much lane presence as possible. Expecting Camille to have strength in the top side. Seeing Gorilla go for a late steal here.
That was pretty close.
Against the Sejuani in particular, very difficult because she has the ability to claim, you know, has a pseudo smite with the passive around 400 HP, so very difficult to pull off that steal. Can't even force out the smite necessarily, but the smite was used onto the walls to increase the clear speed. Not sure if it's fleet footwork or the aftershock just yet, but we'll get the runes up soon.
Yeah. She's probably hoping that the E would be used, and then the Braum Q would come in and steal it from underneath her, but not very likely, as you were talking about. Length is heading straight over to the red buff right now. You can see Prey trying to just stack up what should be Klepto on this patch.
And look at this. The numbers actually do favor Longzhu Gaming's history. It is 2017, so we should use the name, the 2017 Longzhu Gaming. Now, of course, Kingzone DragonX. A lot of the numbers at the start of the year were all about SKT, but once it hit summer, the finals result especially was the sweetest one, as Prey and Gorilla were able to lift the trophy 2 years in a row. In the summer season was Rocks Tigers summer 2016, and then Longzhu Gaming in summer of 2017. Right now, just watching the map. For now, it's a bit of vertical jungling. Blank is around the top side, providing coverage for the gangplank. Makes a lot of sense, given the ability to snowball down. Already had multiple gangplanks, but chiefly Ontara feel the wrath of enemy top lane and jungle duos, so giving coverage to Tal is smart. And maybe we should talk about the fact that Tal is starting, because that is something different from SKT. Tal, to me, represents, kind of in a Huni-esque fashion, a carry top laner. He is an aggressive laner. He is known to pick lane-dominant champions. If you remember, Ontara already has had a lot of issues against Khan's aggression and his micro ability in lane, and they brought in Huni and he was more comfortable. Tal, of course, much less experienced, but a very mechanically gifted player. Famously was Son of Kasing in European solo queue, going right up there based on his mechanics. Finding a top laner with mechanics is the reason that SKT brought Huni over Ontara to Worlds after Ontara started most of LCK Summer, and now they're also rolling in Tal this time. Again, a tough order. Just before we went into game, we saw him. He looked nervous, and he should do, Valdez.
Yeah, you know, he's a bit of a younger guy. He has some experience, but not so much. And we were talking before the games about how we should reintroduce this idea of what his name actually means. He's a very famous Trundle player, actually, on the solo queue ladder. And his name literally means, I am going to play Trundle. So it's T, right? T-hal. It's like Trundle. And Hartgoya, which means like I'm going to do it or I'm going to play it. So he's gonna play. He's saying I'm going to play Trundle. Unfortunately, probably not going to happen in competitive play, but definitely would happen on the ladder.
I think when the keystones equalize, when there's more bruiser keystones in the top side and the range top laners go away, hopefully we'll see his famous Trundle. If you named yourself after picking Trundle, you're probably pretty good on it. But yeah, you do the Hungle much more justice than I do, Valdez. So thank you for explaining that to our fans. But now, things have been passive, which, again, you look at the scaling, you see the Gangplank, you see the Kleptomancy, you say happy days for SKT. Want to talk a little bit about the rune choice now that we have them. SKT cannot be sealed, triple unsealed with Faker and Effort. We've seen more Aftershock, Alistair, recently, but the 80 carries taking the unsealed spellbook is getting more and more common. You see it on Cogmore. It's just about trying to get to lane faster with teleport and just having low summoner spell cooldowns in the late game. Especially attack, never taken by Korean 80 carries. Fleet footwork is strong, but people haven't been picking it this week. Just a bit of change there as BDD is trading very aggressively.
Yeah, he's been doing this all lane long, and you can already see the impact it's having on the CS lead. Faker has been having a lot of trouble in this matchup. He's got Blank nearby, but look at this aggressive room prison saying, I'm going to go in. Peanut's here too. We got a 2v2 under the turret. Blank low on mana as well, and they can't even fight here.
That was really cute. He brought the minion wave with him so that he wouldn't instantly take aggro, only after he used an ability or an auto attack onto Faker would he take aggro. One of the underappreciated parts about that Realm Warp is the fact that it brings the minions along. And everyone's teleporting.
Yeah, that's the thing. You were talking about Kog'Maw with Unsealed Spellbook. I almost feel like we've gone too far, right? Like,
has science gone too far about this?
It's like too crazy, right? the movement speed is not good enough. All of those quote-unquote like ADC runes are just not even used on AD carries anymore. It's just like the lower cooldown on Flash is actually more worth it, and obviously the better laning phase with the teleport. It's just like, it's ridiculous, Papa.
I mean, think about where we went from. We had an all-star on previous patches in this cycle. It was all these poking AD carries against Serrated Dirk. Misfortune Jhin was the OP lane. Yeah. Varus and Misfortune as well, going double Comet. Since then, while Comet stayed the same, min-maxing the Relic Shield into Overheal into just insane amount of sustain has really pushed away the more poking AD carries, and now it's kind of the reality. I talked about it at the start, and people said, you know, why so much inspiration? It was one of the big questions that, you know, Twitter said they wanted answered about the current meta, and it's just, if you look at the pure defensive stats and the pure offensive stats you get from other trees, they're often dwarfed by the utility of a stopwatch, free boots, and also the spellbooks. So there's so much advantage there from going for things that aren't innately, you know, plus AD or plus AP, plus armor or plus magic resist. It's just not worth it right now for actually investing into the other trees.
Yeah. I do like the idea that, you know, it's not like the AD carries always have to go precision and the mid laners always have to go sorcery. I like the fact that people are experimenting and finding cool combinations of runes that perhaps you wouldn't think would be the case when you first see them, but I don't know. The idea of all this Unsealed Spellbook on ADC doesn't really sit well with me, but we'll see in the future.
What I'll say about Unsealed Spellbook is when it's an option, when it's something that people take to surprise, it's really cool. But when it becomes the meta very fast, then suddenly it gets a bit comical, right? Yeah. When everyone's teleporting everywhere. Same about Frostfang on junglers and top laners. When it's an option that can be abused or can actually be encouraged, it's good. But when it's the meta, then again it gets a bit comical. So for now, at least, the Spellbook will stay unsealed. We will see it as the core 10 of the meta in 8.1 and 8.2. Unsure if things will change. I love the utility of it. Really does feel that the Summon Spell cooldown reduction is kind of extra power that's not necessary.
This was this level 6 I was talking about. They're going to try to bring both of their ultimates in, but can they do it in time? There's the Zhonya's the stopwatch, but he actually could not Rune Prison in time, so it's first blood going to Blank, putting their two ultimates together and getting a kill.
And a mistake from BDD. He uses the stopwatch when his health is too low. He would have died to the Malefic Visions even if he got the Realm Warp and stopwatch out. So I think, honestly, just a waste of an important rune that he had taken there. He dies as well. After being harassed for so long, Faker finally gets a feel-good moment. Good gank timing from SKT. They still have the scaling draft. Against the run of play, they now have first blood.
Nicely done. Exactly what I was talking about with the Sejuani, wanting to come mid around level 6 or just stay around top and help out Tal. And so far, taking a look at the top lane, it definitely looks like when Khan takes the trades, he's winning them, but Tal is definitely holding his own up there with very similar CS right now.
And now, we don't really need to talk about the mechanics of this all-in. It's very simple. CC overlapping, using the stopwatch there a mistake, but what I want to talk about is the minimap. We haven't seen Peanut in positions that we saw Cousin. You could say, well, his lanes haven't been winning as hard, and you'd be right. But top lane is always scared of the Camille hookshot, and mid lane was winning. So why wasn't Peanut invading with the pressure, getting vision in the red side jungle, and actually making threats onto both top and the mid lane, why weren't they able to battle ward blank on this Sejuani? None of that has happened. All Peanut has been able to do is equalize in farm against the Sejuani, and now he's turned on.
Yeah, I mean, we got this ultimate once again from the Malzahar. Unfortunately, Blank CD wasn't up on his ultimate, but we might have a bit of a collapse as Gorilla and Prey are coming in. BD locking down Faker right now, but BDD will get slowed up. Effort will have Flash ultimate, and he will just get out of there alive. But lots of summoners burned, a couple of flashes on the side of SKT.
But you will see that whenever Kingzone are proactive, when they have equal or greater numbers, they will win in both of those scenarios. They should have the tempo on the map to make those proactive plays. They're not, and SKT with a scaling draft are doing way better than you'd expect in the early game. They're behind 300 gold. You look at Gangplank in a tough lane, down 7 CS. They're winning in spots they should be well behind.
Yeah, it was a really good point you made about the Kazakhs not really showing his face top lane even once. I mean, look at how low Tal is right now, right? It forces him back. He does have his TP, but you can try to set up something where you put down some control wards, make that opportunity available to yourself. But Peanut's just been farming the jungle this entire game, and now they have vision on the Dragon. What will Kingzone do to try to get them off of it?
They're definitely going to walk through some wards and not make it easy, but for now, SKT's sticking on the Dragon.
They do have this burst damage, and now Faker is in. That's going to be the easy smite cleanup from the Sejuani, and an Infernal Drake going over to SKT.
And this kind of exacerbates the point I was making earlier. You know, I'm always struck by, you know, when I started playing the game, I started thinking about it on a more critical level, you know, when Amumu was still in the meta, right?
Oh,
and everyone wanted to know, how do you
Okay.
counter Amumu was always the question. And then you saw Lee Sin, you saw the proactive counter jungling. And so people saw at the competitive level, well, he can't really defend himself, invade him, you know, abuse his early weakness. And then, okay, and so a lot of people learn to lock in Lee Sin, but if you don't have the mindset to use it to the maximum, if Amumu just farms and you never actually counter jungled and then shows up at a fight and does better than you, that's your mistake. You didn't take on the role of the aggressor. You didn't punish a scaling pick. And it's just as true for compositions. SKT have taken scaling against a Kingzone team that obliterated in the early game just a few days ago, and the scaling isn't being punished so far. We're not seeing Peanut coordinate with his lanes in the sort of way he needs to, and the sort of way that Cuz was able to. And while it may not decide the game, it's the sort of thing that on VOD review will be very clear to Kingzone that they need to tighten up.
Yeah, I would have to agree. We see finally Peanut is coming in and laying down some wards there in the red side jungle. He is going to start up this Rift Herald. So you can see there is a control ward underneath the Rift Herald, and so he will not be spotted just for now. You were talking about back in the day when Amumu was a problem, man. You've been in this game for quite a while, Papa. That's like, was that even 2011 or was that 2012 back then?
It was way back when. It was a solo queue thing for a long time, of course, you know. When it comes to birthdays, it will be in, I believe, a couple of weeks, my 7-year anniversary with League of Legends. I downloaded it in February 2010. It's been out for a while, Valdez.
Okay, we are going to have a challenge here on the Rift Herald, that Gangplank ultimate, and it's going to get smited down here by the Sejuani. Not smited, actually. She hit the eye right at the end, but you can see that Kingzone just had to back off as there was too much pressure from SKT. Even Effort making his way up in, as well as the Kog'Maw. Bang, coming all the way to the Rift Herald, and so that's going to go over to SKT.
And the minimap tells bad stories for Kingzone. During this time, during the setup for this start on the Rift Herald, BDD was backing. He wasn't in unison. He wasn't prioritizing Rift Herald take over his own back. He's gone super defensive in his build, going for a QSS. Of course, not going to be necessarily a timer on the Rod of Ages like previous Rise builds, but he's not playing with his jungler. We're never saying BDD and Peanut or Khan and Peanut. We're just looking at Peanut. We're looking at BDD's individual turret dive in the mid lane. The synergy is not there, and the synergy needs to get there fast.
Yeah, I mean, Peanut did join for that super, you know, huge turret dive early on in the game, but it didn't feel the same, you know? I definitely feel what you're saying, and overall, he hasn't really been coordinating on the same level as Cuz, so we'll see if they can shore that up a little bit in the future. Next Drake is going to be Infernal Drake, so SKT will be looking to stack that here in the future.
Not going to even force the stopwatch out of Tal, who has had a very comfortable laning phase in the top side. Khan doing his best to pressure, but solo, and never with the threat of a turret dive by the Kazakhs. He can only do so much, and as you get more and more levels and your Trinity Force, ranged farming becomes very possible for the Gangplank.
Yeah, to be honest, Tal looks really comfortable in this lane. You can see like how he's doing it. Obviously, it's a counter lane, so you're not going to have perfect trades, but overall, he's not too far behind. He knows exactly how to play this matchup as well, the GP versus Camille. Definitely one that you scrim a ton because it's just so popular.
Got to say that the jungle proximity may be higher than Blank, as you would expect with the Kazakhs, but sadly the results haven't been there for Peanut. Looking a bit at the heat map here, it was more defensive than you'd imagine, especially on top side. All the blue movements of the jungler were around his blue buff and his bigger camps like his Gromp. They weren't actually towards the Gangplank at all. So that's happy times for the GP, just farming away.
Now, we're taking a look down here in bottom lane, and, well, it's exactly what you would expect. Nobody's dying, nobody's getting aggressive. The Ezreal is about 15 farm ahead, about 10 at this point, so just that small extra lead you get with the poke from the Ezreal.
Peanut does successfully take a camp away, so that's a good moment, but you'll notice he does have a level disadvantage to Blank, who went fleet footwork, which we didn't mention earlier, so usually go that when you're expecting to brawl and when you want to have extra mobility around the rift early, so respectful rune choice for Blank. was the first in Korea to use that one pretty extensively. I'm a big fan of it, given all the flexible options and the increased clear time. Big fan of a rune for early game and then your item build tailoring your late game.
Right now, SKT has 4 teleports. I guess that's what you get when you have 3 unsealed spellbooks.
I'll hold the point I have, though, as they turn on to Sejuani.
Yeah, Blank was getting in a little bit, and actually a TP coming in. Who's it going to be? It's going to be Effort this time around on the Alistar TPing in.
No problems having 4 teleports in a game, right, Valdez?
No problems.
It's probably not going to be Cogmore, that's all we know, but as as casters, we're like, wait, who had TP? And it could be anyone in this current meta.
Pretty much. Soon junglers will start taking the unsealed spellbook. Nothing will make sense anymore.
It's a funny old meta, Valdez.
Funny old meta.
We didn't get to talk about
hopefully it will be old in the future.
I'm feeling old right now, trust me. But with all the teleports, something I wanted to talk about was the ult used top lane by Tal. Didn't have a chance at the time. May still not here as we get the zoomed out view. Infernal Drake number 2 is started. Should not be 2 of these given up by Kingzone, but there might be.
He's going to jump in and he gets it a little bit too early on that smite. It got down to 145. I saw it by Blank. It was just too early. But look at this. Gorilla is going to get caught out. So they will trade the Infernal Drake for 1 kill. And honestly, in this meta, I'd have to say I would take the Infernal Drake over the kill.
But Valdez, I'm not willing to reward Kingzone for that because they have to go for a flash 50-50 just to get the Drake that should have been theirs with the draft. They took early momentum with the picks. They're the ones that have the earlier options, but instead they have to 50-50 because they've given up too much on the map earlier. Tal just running over to try and harass Khan further. He's starting to finally fall into a CS disadvantage. The reason for that is that Khan was holding the wave just in front of the turret, so Tal actually had to ult it just to hope to push it, otherwise he would have been denied further CS. So having to use the ult just for lane meant he didn't have it for the Drake.
Here we go again. They're going to layer their ultimates down here. Actually delaying a little bit because the QSS is available to BDD at this point, but again, little moves like this, we've talked about it in this meta. It's not necessarily to kill, especially after the QSS. It's just to try to push BDD out of the lane, especially because his TP is down.
It's been the bot side jungle that's been owned by SKT since the early part of the game when they started to prioritize vision around it. But now at least just threatening a red buff, still threatening a dive, but no more. Big control ward line over the river for the side of SKT.
Yeah, they want this first blood turret gold, and that bottom turret is getting very, very low. So if they wanted to try any kind of dive with Blank and even a GP ultimate, that would be the lane to go for it. The mid lane turret is also getting very low on the side of Kingzone, so they could potentially go for that. They do not have the Rift Herald. It was used in the mid lane, I believe.
It's a very confident build coming from Tal. You see double longsword you think about what most people have been building in hard lanes for the Gangplank, it's been Sterix, Gage second, just to deal with being all-in and having that extra overshield of health to try to turn things around. Only builds out of a single longsword and a pickaxe, so 2 suggests a dirt, suggests something like a Yomu's Ghostblade to try to run away from Khan, which is an option for sure, but it is a more offensive choice as well.
I love Pugmaw. I remember I was casting with Crumbs last year, and he hated the Pugmaw. What is your opinion on the Pugmaw? I think it's cute as hell.
The Riot caster mantra, from what I've learned from the international events, is they're not big fans of the Pugmaw.
Really?
Pugmaw definitely has gotten, not the universal praise you might imagine. I think it's cute, but it's really annoying to face, so I'm kind of indifferent on it.
I love the fact that it barks every time, like every single time you auto-attack. Just like a small little bark.
That's the part where it gets annoying for me.
That's the best part.
Well, you know, you can like what you like, Valdez.
Maybe that actually helps with mechanics. I don't know. I'm not an ADC player, but it's like every time you attack, it like makes a noise. So
it still does with the regular
might
skin.
help. Yeah, it's true.
Not a bark necessarily, but a more human noise, I guess, with the bark.
I think it only barks when you have your W up, though. So either way, Blank coming on in. I've forgotten that this is patch 8.1, so. And it is Sejuani, so she is not going to die.
Definitely not. At this point in the game, will still be the Sterix, so a bit of a manipulating of items there from Tal. Has the Doran shield as well for a bit of extra safety. Trying to turn onto Faker, but you're 3 levels under Faker as Peanuts, so not going to be too much fun there.
It's kind of funny the way that Frost Queen's claim works against the stealth Kha'Zix. Can definitely help you from getting surprised anytime. If you think he's nearby mid lane, Effort's taking a little bit of damage. Should be okay.
Just trying to poke him down to hopefully get some turret damage in. Effort could just back and teleport if he wanted to.
Because, of course, he would have teleport.
We're down to 3 right now as Faker is going for the more standard teamfight summoners with the Ghost. Doesn't want to have to flash every time he looks for an ult. Or wants bigger acquisition range. SKT has controlled this part of the map almost the entire game. The big advantage of that has been 2 Drakes, which is the most obvious thing, but also the fact this turret hasn't gone down, Valdez. At 22 minutes, Kog'Maw has been able to rush a Rage Blade and not lose turrets. So the vertical jungling hasn't really felt vertical because Peanut hasn't been threatening the Gangplank at all. And being on the bot side has gotten SKT most of their leads. It is 1-to-1 in Infernals, but should have been 2, given how the setup was earlier. Quite a miracle steal from Peanut.
SKT was looking for a gank opportunity down here in the bottom lane. You would have to think that this King Zone bottom lane is really trying to push here, but even ulting through the Tri-Brush to stop the back of Blank perfectly, even without the vision, but looks like they even read the play out of SKT.
I mean, both teams knew what was happening there. The only wild card was, would Peanut try to come in for a turret dive? That's what Blank was more there for, was covering any sort of aggressive move, or an overgreed by Kingzone to try to finish the turret, rather than actually looking to enact a gank down the lane. Chance of that succeeding on Braum and Ezreal with summoners up was 0, so yeah, it was just there because it didn't need to be anywhere else on the map. Farming continues, but in the mid lane, top lane especially, the gold lead that wasn't there early is starting to grow a little bit. The mid lane one at 50 CS over the Malzahar is Ryze, who started off super defensive, remember. It was Merc Treads, Tier, Catalyst, and a QSS, but at least there's some threat now.
There's still threat, but it's still a couple of very defensive items, right? I mean, you get Zhonya's afterwards. I mean, it makes sense for the Realm Warp, but you get that after that defensive Abyssal Mask and the QSS and the Merc Treads, right? This Ryze is not going to be dying to pretty much anything. Now Prey finally making this move towards the bottom turret. He is going to pick it up and get that gold. Unfortunately for SKT, the mid turret did go down first. So that wasn't the first blood turret for Kingzone down there.
It's a lot of map control that you get from taking down mid lane turret, especially helps with Baron setups. And the trade at the time that it happens couldn't suit SKT better. The bot lane focus, the control they had, got them an Infernal Drake kind of against the expectations of the comp. The next one's an Ocean, so the priority is lower. And now they have more space to put down Deep Vision for Baron protection. I think it's more about protection than actually engage for the side of SKT. They're confident in their scaling. Kog'Maw and Gangplank told you that story. So for now, just more defense from SKT, setting up for what they want to be, a very long game.
Yeah, we should expect it at this point. I haven't had quite the 60, 70-minute game with you, Papa, yet, and I think you deserve a little bit more on your birthday. How have you been feeling about those games, Papa? Enjoyable?
Some of them have been bangers, for sure.
Yeah.
Telecom War was a lot of fun a few days ago. The one yesterday was such a heartbreaker for Afrika. You could see Kuro afterwards, whether from exhaustion or sadness, he was in tears as well. We've had quite a few tears this week because of the long game, because of the high stakes, because they are games between playoff teams. There's definitely some fun things said during those long games. Kind of the rational caster talk goes out the door around the 65-minute mark, I found.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you've basically had a full game of League of Legends. I mean, you could fit multiple games in that amount of time, but you kind of just forget about it at this point and just go on with whatever you want to talk about. I'm sure we'll get there one day. This could be the day. I mean, I feel like on this patch, if you're playing, basically perfectly, if you're a top-level team, you are going to get yourself into situations where you can't really avoid the 60, 50, 60, 70-minute game.
Shall we have a caster bet then? Here's an easy one.
Okay.
Right now it is 5:30ish p.m. Korean Standard Time. Will we be able to get a celebratory birthday drink for me on my birthday, or will it be tomorrow?
Tonight, I think because the second matchup is KT versus BBQ, I would have to say that we will have time. It might be late, might be 11:30, but we'll fit it in.
Okay.
If not, we'll have to have one on the broadcast. I'm sure everybody will be fine with that.
I'll take the other side and say 7 hours plus of League of Legends to dream.
Really?
No celebrations for me today. More sick League of Legends. I mean, this game could literally go to the 60-minute mark very easily.
I mean, we're already beginning to see the beginnings of a game like that, right? 2 kills at almost 30 minutes. Only dragons taken. Basically just vision fighting right now. Nobody's making any mistakes, which is really what I was talking about if you're playing perfectly. Like, if nobody's making mistakes, getting caught, then you don't offer the enemy team a Baron or a big push or to get too far ahead. So these guys, I mean, the gold lead is currently 0. I guess 100 for SKT. So basically on the same playing field right now are these two teams.
Which we do say benefits the scaling team, which represents SKT. Turning on to the Camille. Gets the first part of the hook shot as the animation is midair. Good awareness from Khan. He will live. See Peanut backing away. And attempt to take your side as well, Valdez. That's been very... We haven't even seen many stopwatches forced out. We only saw BDD earlier use his.
Yeah, we haven't even had that big fight where like 4 or 5 stopwatches are used. Saw a couple of those yesterday. Okay, maybe this will be the one. This turret is really low. Got a flash in from Gorilla, knock up on a blank, but he's got his flash up and available, and he just gets out of there.
Yeah, the hook shot missed from the Camille, so the engage could never truly be invested in. At the same time, Gorilla flashing in. They will eventually, you'd imagine, take the turret, but they already lose the bot lane turret for free. So advantage SKT again. Even if it's a timing thing, they have more time to back, get their lanes in order, push out. They went out from that. Good job, the side of SKT.
Yeah, you were talking about the scaling. We got our Gangplank going towards that Infinity Edge. He is going to be quite fed on 3 items. He actually just finished it. So perfect timing there as I'm talking about this. Right for that first Baron fight around this time, around 30 minutes, where we will have it. The next Drake is going to be Cloud Drake, so it's not really going to matter in the entire scale of things. The Baron obviously going to be much more highly contested.
We don't often see Infinity Edge this early. It's usually a luxury 5th or 6th item on Gangplank. Usually something like a Phantom Dancer to help you trade. You get the offensive stats, but also the negative damage on auto attack on your enemy. Just happy to go IE in this case, as they're considering just turning on Gorilla. He's all alone.
Yeah, the problem here is that Bang can't get in the fight right now. He was zoned out, but they should be able to get Gorilla here. Bang gonna get that last auto attack. They almost feed it over to him. As we were saying, he used his flash earlier to try to dive that turret on the failed dive up top, and so that will be just an easy kill. The question is, where does SKT go from here?
The Baron setup will begin. They will be able to deny. They will probably not be able to take anything with this particular kill. These are words I've said too often this week, but the reality of the meta right now, the only thing that holds this game a little bit in check, Valdez, is that the wave clear is not Varus. Sivir levels are strong on either side. Kog'Maw with Hurricane can do a decent job. Ezreal, his one weakness is wave clear. The Ryze can help out. There isn't insane wave clear, so perhaps the 3 inhibitors down defenses will be impossible when it comes to the 65-minute map. We'll talk about this moment, like you say. Very simple equation. No flash on Gorilla. His team also is not in position to give him a stand beside me W. By the time Peanut gets there, he realizes it's too late. It looks like he has the Unbreakable up the wrong way, but the auto attacks were going to be coming from the side of the Kog'Maw, so he thought he'd block more damage if it was that direction, so it wasn't actually a mistake by Gorilla. In the end, no matter, they even get the kill over to Bang, like you mentioned. Another small advantage, the side of SKT.
You could see that they were willing to use everything, even though it was on the Braum. They know that, you know, no big fight is going to break out right after that. So the Malzahar, Sejuani, ultimates all came out. Probably the Gangplank, I didn't see that one, but I would have to assume that it also did. And they basically just layered everything because they know they can save it for the next fight already. If you guys take a look at the ultimates, they're all off cooldown.
I mean, we're further in the game than you might expect because of the little action. At the end of the day, Faker's level 17, a little bit of experience away from 18. We'll have 4 level 18 members in the next minute or two. Item builds are getting very, very deep. The cooldown reduction is there for all of those long engage ultimates. And Bang is now double buff 3 item Kog'Maw, so we know all about the threat there.
Yeah. Give him that blue buff, make sure he can always have his W up and lay down on those ultimates as well. Faker on the Malzahar doesn't necessarily need that extra mana regen or the cooldown reduction.
Peanut has to get to the point where he has to be scared of the Gangplank because a barrel explosion does 1100 health, and he doesn't have much more than that.
Yeah, speaking of which, Gangplank shoots him in the face, hits for 673. Peanut's like, holy hell, I'm getting out of here.
Well, he's got no armor, and the only health in his build comes through from the Black Cleaver, so he's certainly not tanky. Just saw the second upgrade of the Cannon Barrage also picked up by Tal. Could have even been third, to be honest, but I believe it was the second. Super-powered hyper carries. Scaling disadvantage is no longer relevant. You know, scaling is gone. The scaling has already happened in this game. It gets more for SKT, but the awkward phase is over. Kingzone picking up a teamfight win looks very difficult short of a pick, but to get a pick they need vision control, and they haven't had it in an important spot at any point in this game. Bot lane was controlled by SKT, bot side I should say. Baron control now for SKT. Getting a pick is nigh on impossible. Ability for the Camille to push up is always with risk, even though Khan is the best we have in Korea at playing with low coverage. He does his best to dive in and try to make the most, even if he always has his trigger on the defensive hook shot to get out. So SKT in a really comfortable position. For Kingzone to do something, I think they need a sick outplay. I think it has to be a single control ward into a mistake from SKT, or a big realm warp play onto the Baron, and maybe even chancing a 50-50. The calculated Barons are gone for Kingzone right now. It has to be about the rotations from my perspective.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I think especially, we talked a lot about the, you know, what does Kha'Zix really do? Is it a strong pick nowadays? Because sometimes it just looks very weak, and especially in this game, it's going to be very hard for a Kha'Zix to get into the back line onto a Kog'Maw when you have an Alistar right next to him and potential barrels hitting you straight in the face. I mean, what exactly is Peanut going to be doing on the Kha'Zix in this game? We talked about the early pressure he could have put up in the top lane. Didn't do any of that. He's farmed up. He's got more CS than the Sejuani, yes, but like, even if he's got 6 items, will he have an opportunity to jump onto the Kog'Maw if SKT isn't making any mistakes?
You have to play to the enemy comp, but also your item build. His item build is pretty tanky, but, you know, Malzahar ults him. We see a parlay and a couple of orders from Kog'Maw. He's still going to die very, very quickly. No QSS in this build. The more popular build has been the Boots of Mobility, and, you know, from there, things like the Dusk Blade for early presence. When we've seen Songwon have good games on the Kha'Zix for Rox Tigers, a lot of lane ganks in the top lane and abusing the, you know, R passive when you evolve the R, but again, we haven't seen any of that from Peanut, so to your question, probably dying early, Valdez. Very difficult to get much value out of the Kazakhs at this point in the game. They turn onto him.
You were talking about no QSS, and
he's dead.
If your your jungler doesn't have a QSS, you're going to die to this team who has unlimited poke. Here we got a 1v1 down here. Tal was secured up in there, but the Baron has started. Ezreal ult hits everybody in the pit. He's going to begin poking. You can see effort is getting pretty low. In the front team, and they're going to turn this one onto the rise. BDD flashing away, trying to do his rotation. Prey and BDD still having a lot of room here, but Gorilla's going to go down in the front. Now BDD's all alone, 1v3. He's going to be going down here after that Zhonya's does go down. A double kill going over to Faker. Now Prey trying to go forward. Actually, he's gonna kill Pang, but is it gonna matter in the end? He knew he was gonna die. At least he trades 1 for 1, but in the end of this all, SKT wins the fight and they win the Baron.
Yeah, in this part of the game, the fact that they have less of a front line, they don't have a Sejuani, they have a Kha'Zix who was dead at the time, means they can't fight front to back anywhere near as the Cogmore draft late game team fight of SKT. They cannot win equal engagements. They need to pick up a pick. They don't. In the end, very nice turn onto Peanut. That was going to be my realistic response before we explained was he's going to die because there's nothing else you can realistically do. Second time that BDD has kind of botched his Realm Walk play with the Zhonya's, first with the stopwatch and the Zhonya's. This is the sort of pick they've wanted. Tal is overextended.
That is 1v2. There's the barrel crit that you were talking about. He gets both of them quite low, but at the end of the day, it is a 1v2. At least he does get the top turret, but he is going to lose his Baron buff.
Let's see if Khan can pull out some magic. He will need to play against 2 or 3 members and outplay them. We're going to see the replay. Peanut thinks he's safe. He doesn't have any deep vision to be clearing this sort of ward around the Baron. Faker flashes on him. You might say, oh, hard done by it was a flash, but you need advanced vision to clear out vision. He didn't have it. We're going to see the replay. They have to turn on. But remember that when it comes to tanking Baron, Blanket Effort will not die to the Baron anytime soon. When it comes to Cogmore, Bang ends up taking a couple of Baron shots to help out. He actually takes the first bit of Baron. Okay, here we go.
We got a fight in here. It looks like Malzahar Faker gets taken out. Not sure what was going down here. Maybe just getting picked off. No doubt we'll get a replay. But a couple of members of SKT go down with Baron buff, and well, they're not using it to the best of their abilities right now, Papa.
Yeah, we can't talk about too much analysis because we missed the start of this. But what is to remember is that Tal just respawned. SKT were only 4-man strong. In that particular situation, some teleports are on cooldown. Clearly it was a flank that SKT disrespected. Amazing how teams are making mistakes at this point, but they've certainly wasted a Baron buff power play by now.
That they have. They're going to lose a turret in the mid lane. Trading 1 for 1 on the turrets. And by now, we've got an Elder Drake. It is that time in the game. And already, you know, Faker and Effort are still dead. You're not going to 3v5 this King Zone lineup. But let's see what they can do. You can see they're hanging around. We got a TP coming in right now from Effort, or maybe Faker, actually. It's going to get pretty low, trying to go for the steal, but no! It is going to go over to Peanut, and that Gangplank ultimate doing a lot of damage. At least they will take out Prey at the end of this fight. Finally getting some action in this game, Papa.
Finally getting a successful Realm Walk also. Big one there. If only Prey was in the AoE, they would have all gotten away for free. The Baron buff is still on Blank. They've only had it for 2 minutes. It's amusing that it still has a minute left given how much has happened. Well, we said SKT cannot lose a front-to-back 5v5 fight. First, Tal got caught, then clearly multiple members of SKT, including Faker, got caught. That color point didn't matter because of the mistakes from SKT. And somehow the pendulum has swung, and we need a damn replay to work out how.
Yeah. Let's get it. Give us the replay. Definitely going to need to see that. It was interesting because right after Faker respawned, he switched his flash for TP. Unless that was like a visual bug. But that's one thing that you can do with the Unsealed Spellbook. If for just one fight you have to be there, absolutely. You can, you know, trade your flash for the TP.
With the Baron buff, they're still trying to push. This is 5v5. This is where King Zone has to consider their options, even with Elder Dragon, for another minute and a half. They give up. They don't give up the turret just yet. Look at the swings we've had here. It has been pretty small. You'll notice it's only a scale of 2 to 4,000. Not massive amounts. But the massive lead for SKT after they got Baron instantly corrected by all the kills that King Zone were able to pick up. And now we're basically even again.
Now we are. Only 1,000 ahead for SKT. Pretty negligible at this point. And not even an inhibitor turret has gone down in this game. Both teams only taking 4 turrets out of the opposition, mirrored on both sides. And I feel like we're just gonna sink back in, sit back into our chair of let's clear waves, try not to get caught, and wait until the next objective comes out.
I'd like to see them clear vision. SKT has had the vision lead the entire game, and you cannot afford that when they have Malzahar and also the Sejuani who can initiate out of basically nowhere, especially when you have no vision. So see if Kingzone can either group as 5 and kind of narrow down the places where they need to clear the vision, or go for some defensive vision plays for now. SKT not incentivized to push up for another 10 seconds as the Elder Dragon is still worn by SKT. And asking you shall receive, Valdez. We're not in the super late game yet, but seems like we're going to get there.
We're getting there. No mistakes have been made, really. That one...
There was one, but we didn't get to see it.
Yeah, there were a couple, I'd say. But nothing that really threw the game in one direction. We're going to take a look at a blank. He did get the first blood in the mid lane. He is sitting at 1-0-7, 100% kill participation. Probably more important to mention that more than anything else.
Amusing thing, of course, is that a lot of the vision you see on the screen from SKT is zombie wards as well. One of the things that will be addressed a little bit in patch 8.2 is the extra vision you get.
But yeah, well, still, it's still going to be 180 seconds, I believe, at level 18.
Oh, in the early game at level 18, yep.
What?
That's the meta we live in, Valdez. You haven't seen it up close,
exactly.
But that's where we're at.
That's what I'm saying. Like, is that buff really going to change zombie ward being taken by these junglers? Because
I need to be glass half full over here. I cast all the games, Valdez.
I'll let you, okay? When you come to Spo TV, reality sets in. And I'm just like, yeah, zombie ward's going to be the same. But I don't know. There's some good changes in there.
All right. We take a deep breath again. We reassess. Vision for KZ. At least there is a bit of coverage for Kingzone on the bot side here for Khan to push up. Not sure how the 1v1 goes. My inkling is that Tal has more effective items, therefore he probably does pretty well in the 1v1. QSS kind of ruining the build here for Khan. Would prefer not to have that. He has it basically, so if Malzahar teleports in, he can try to turn a 1v2. He doesn't really have it for team fights. In some team fights, sure, it'll be decent, but usually Guardian Angel and a different defensive item is probably going to be preferred in a team fight. And it doesn't help him in the 1v1 versus Gangplank, so he's not as strong as he'd want to be, as Tal's like, screw it. I'm also going to be a Fountain Laser. No boots on the Gangplank.
I mean, it's ridiculous that this is now the norm, right? 6 item carries with no boots, always getting the Phantom Dancer. Kog'Maw's not there yet. See if he does go that far.
Bang loves role-playing tanks. He loves the Ninja Tabi, and he's got the Frozen Mallet as well.
Role-playing tanks.
The Urgot's not in the meta anymore,
Deft you're talking about? Role-playing tanks, trying to be out in the front lines, getting caught?
Positioning-wise, but items-wise, that was always Bang's. He was one of our first Ninja Tabi 80 carries in Korea.
So SKT's just playing the game of, we're going to deny 2 brushes, and hopefully you walk in. And KZ's like, nope, we're not going to do that. So, no Baron for now. Elder's still on the way. Not spawned just yet.
I gotta say, the mentality in the late game has never been more important in League of Legends. Right now, your ability to keep it together in positions like this where a big enough mistake, your whole team loses.
Yeah.
You know, we've had players who clearly have visibly got frustrated in losses, and it's affected their play in later games. You know, Africa as a team seemed to be a team like that last year. You can't afford to be anymore.
Yeah, and I feel like that's part of the reason why a lot more emotions are being shown even after games, like super long games where you get literally 1 auto attack from 2-0ing KSV as Africa.
And then you lose.
And it goes like 74 minutes as well in that game. Like the toll it takes, all that tension you were talking about is just, it's hard to imagine, right? I feel like you'd have to have experienced it yourself, you know, be on the big stage and play 3 over 40-minute games, and then, you know, tell me that you wouldn't be crying in the booth.
I mean, I
feel like I'd be.
I mean, that 71-minute game for Africa, they were winning for 67 minutes,
yeah.
65 minutes, you know, and then to lose out of nowhere, and very visibly not be all there in the last game was very painful to watch as Malzahar has denied the ultimate.
Yeah, he went for it. They went for the Baron. They saw Peanut as it seemed like Kingzone knew it was started, and the flash just does not work. So Faker is going to be flashless. It's okay, though. We're not going to have a fight until his flash is up again.
This part is 100% true, Valdez. The forcing becomes so difficult.
I've been doing my research. I've been watching you guys cast. It's
1x speed, 2x speed?
Mostly 1.5 so that I can hear what you're saying. 2x speed is like, well, you're only getting the gist of what's going on. But mostly live, actually.
Well, I appreciate your viewership and everyone out there watching on LCK1 and also on YouTube for these games that just never end. You know, this is the song that never ends. Is a song I remember from my childhood. My friends.
It's
some people tell me patch 8.2 will make it better.
They'll continue saying that until 8.2 comes out
and fixes the meta. Look at us rhyming on air.
Yeah. This is the patch that doesn't end. I hope it comes in next week. But you were telling me earlier that because it came out on Wednesday,
this is my expectation,
that it might not happen until the week after. So
we get another week of rhyming, of joking. You can practice your stand-up routine that I keep alluding to.
Oh, yeah, great. Yeah. I'm working on that, you know. Just go home and watch your guys' cast. Not even pay attention. I'm just like working on what jokes I can weave into the cast.
Man walks into 8.1. There is no counter. Like all other great jokes you can make.
Yeah.
Tal and Khan have been doing nothing in the side lane for a long while. It might as well be Maokai versus Sion. They do a lot of damage, but you wouldn't know it from their health bars.
They just get it all back. Oh, we just saw the Guardian Angel sold by GP.
Yeah!
I think he got Titanic Hydra?
Yep. He wants more deeps. He's ready to pump out some damage.
He's like, who am I kidding? I'm not going to die.
Guardian Angel doesn't help you if people don't die.
People don't die in this meta? What am I doing?
We're getting positioning on mid lane. We're talking about Ryze being in a side lane. Ryze's ability to side lane is one of the reasons why he's popular, Valdez. An ult is forced. Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
What does it mean?
Nothing. Well, it does mean something, actually. Effort will have a harder time. You can see that the Baron is going down here. It looks like SKT, they had an inkling, and all that KZ needs to stop the Baron is just an inkling on the side of SKT, and they will say, okay, I'm not going to do it.
Oh, nice burst.
Yeah, that's the burst, but...
that was a barrel crit.
Yeah. Now we just need a barrel crit onto the Camille.
So we say what happened. Effort had to ult. They lose positioning on the Baron. Now it's Kingzone. They can keep trying it and look for a mistake from SKT. So it was actually consequential getting the ult out of Effort. It will be up very soon. They can be a bit more offensive. But for now, every little bit of damage you see is because of Effort's small mistake.
Very, very true. This is why we were talking about, right? It's so tense. A tiny little mistake. One person gets caught out. 94 minutes. The game ends. You know, you try to kill the Nexus, and you're already past 55 minutes. The death timers are 70 seconds long. You lose the game. One mistake, one team fight, it's over.
That sort of punishment has led to this extended meta, but SKT, after seeing the recalls, they're going straight for Baron. It's tanky. Still around 10,000 health. The teleports are being drawn. Ezreal's not there.
They're going to have to back off. Oh, the TP was canceled. And the Baron is still low. They're going to try to get in here. The GP ultimate is going to land onto this Braum. He's going to try to knock up Bang, but it's not going to work out. Gorilla, though, is going to stand beside Prey and get back to his team. And it turns out that no one is going to go down here. Peanut, though, he's looking for a pick. We were talking about what is the usefulness of the Kha'Zix.
No. He's not picking. He's trying to delay.
True.
He just wants to use his W to get vision and delay. They won't be able to stop 2 recalls. They stop 1. Bang cannot recall. Faker does. No, Faker cancels it. We're watching in the minimap here. So much action around the top side. No one's died.
Oh, man.
Gangplank does leave. Teleports are being used everywhere.
This game is unbelievably tense. Unbelievably. You're exactly right. He's trying to stop the backs because they want to go push mid. But then they're like, oh, maybe we can take a fight. Maybe we can go over there and fight them. It looks like someone backed. But then a TP comes out from Tal, and then they go for it, and they just back off of the fight. Now they're going for the Elder Drake here.
They have complete positioning on it, down to 5,000. Gonna try and rush it. They should get it.
Yep, that they should, unless Blank can get the Miracle Steal. He's too far away. Now they have the Elder. They want to force a fight here with the Elder Drake. Khan, though, is going to miss that hook shot, and SKT wants no part of it, but look at Blank's health. He's going to poke down from the Ezreal. Here comes Peanut trying to pick him off, but it's not going to happen. But they got a lot of health away. Maybe they can go for Baron.
Now, Blank has Warmogs, but because of the burn, it took a little bit longer to arm. He'll be full health in about 12 seconds. They start onto the Baron. They have a quick Baron here. Blank's near enough to full health. SKT's contest might be too late. It's down to 3,000.
Looks like it might be late. The ultimate's going to come in, and it's blocked. The Braum ultimate stops Blank from getting in, and now he's going to go down. That's going to be the Baron and the Elder. Here comes the Realm Warp. They want to get into that back line. Here comes the Kha'Zix up to Bang, and he is going to go down. They finally get that cockball in the back line. Faker now trying to go 1v2. He's not going to be able to do a double kill, and finally Peanut is getting the kills that he's wanted all game long. A triple kill going to the Kha'Zix, and Baron and Elder Drake on the side of Kingzone.
This game explodes into life. The death timers are so long. Kingzone will feel like they can win the game here unless Tal can delay them insanely. The minion wave is starting to come up. The second one is not far behind it. Can Tal stall? I think SKT have lost.
It's all about the barrels. He's going to have to get perfect ones, but it's 1 versus 4. They can cancel them. And even if he does kill the minions, is it going to matter? It doesn't look like it. There's only Tal alone here. That's going to be the first Nexus turret. They're going to go for the second one here. In come the Baron buff minions, and they're even going to get Tal out of this fight. They want the extra kill. Camille's going to pick it up. Khan gets another kill, and KZ gets the kill in game 1.
The power of the veterans, the power of the shock calls, turning onto the Elder after the Baron had been just stalled out for 20+ minutes. They take the Elder, they're proactive around the Baron after chunking out Blank. They trusted their smites. Kingzone flipped the script. They should have been able to run this from the early game. They didn't, but because of the ability in patch 8.1 to open up, to delay a game, they got to the point where 1 decisive call was enough. They turned that into 2, into 3, into the game ending, and congratulations, Kingzone. You may not have deserved it for your first 30 minutes, but for your last 10, very well played.
Fantastic late game decision making. The likes that SKT did not show in that game. You can see the frustration, the tension has finally been broken. Faker looks like a statue. He's not even moving. Finally, his eyes moved at the end there. I was getting scared.
I got a feel in situations like this, having an experienced top laner, having Wolf at support, means they would have more voices the team is used to following. Whether the shot calling is good for a 17-year-old or not, having an experienced player of 500 games or more is another important voice. SKT don't have a lot of voices, and in a meta like this, where one mistake, click your fingers, the game is over, they need those voices, because otherwise you're going to see more sad faces from SKT.
Blank, he did so well early on, trying to get Faker into a better position in his lane. His Sejuani was great for the follow-up, but then later game, he just wasn't really able. You know, it's definitely a team effort thing, but he was always the guy in the front being chunked down by the Ryze and the Ezreal and just trying to get the steals, but he couldn't. Just a second late to both the Baron and the Elder Drake. And in the end, as you said, it was 1 mistake, and that's 1 game going over to Kingzone. Guys, if you're joining us late, that was the end of game 1, and it has been an hour. So stick tight. We're not going anywhere. Let's take a look at some game facts first.
The gold lead was very small for the majority, but anytime it is less than 2,000 with a scaling comp like SKT in a traditional meta, big advantage SKT. We are far from a traditional meta. Ability for Prey to clean up those fights on the back end was very nice. His Ezreal certainly, first game of the season, looked strong, but it was all about that shot call. You can see smack bang on 50 minutes is when Kingzone made their first proactive move of the 50 minutes. They had been dictated to by the scaling comp. Already a slap in the face for Kingzone saying, hey, you screwed up the first 30 minutes pretty significantly. SKT couldn't push their advantage. Very difficult to do so in this meta with so many snowball defensive tools. That 1 smart move around the Elder Dragon, 1 chunk onto Alistar that at first look wasn't significant, got them advanced vision, allowed them to translate into an Elder, a Baron, and a 1 team fight. Everyone looks a bit lost as, okay, I see a new member there. They're going to give Cuz another run.
It was making sense Welcome back, guys, to more LCK. We're taking a look at the highlights from game number 1. Just a couple of people getting caught out, but then a very, very explosive late game at around 50 minutes, Papa.
The action is always inevitable. The game will not end bloodless. No 0-0 games in the LCK, but there were, of course, those long patches where, apart from these few picks onto the King Zone members trying to clear around Baron, the big irony of all of it was that moving the battlefield away from Baron to the Elder Dragon ended up being the ticket to victory for the side of King Zone, who got the little damage onto effort, pushed up some vision. This was all when things were looking good for SK Telecom T1, when they were in basically full control of the map, aside from Prey sacrificing himself for a kill onto Bang. Malzahar having to ult him was probably a little feather in the cap for Prey after that one. But we changed the battlefield. Again, still early. This is still early in the game. It looks like this is the Elder Dragon fight. This is when things got a little bit better for King Zone.
That's when they got caught.
Yep.
The replay we never really got to see. And you can see the Realm Warp out of here. Only Prey doesn't make it in, but they get the Elder Drake, which was really the big engagement that they wanted. Yeah, from there, took down Blank's health bar. He backed away. They were assertive around the Baron. Good late game shot goals from the side of King Zone in the ultra late game that has now become the regular late game. The length of games we're playing here. Some nice little mechanics here. Prey darting around, helping with the assassination onto Faker. Only Tal to protect the base. It wasn't going to work. King Zone win game 1. And the MVP is going to be Gorilla on the Braum. There were a bunch of people that we were expecting could be the MVP. You know, Gorilla being one of them. Maybe Prey on his Ezreal had a pretty fantastic game. And the top said, did you see in front of Elder Drake? So there was one fight in front of Elder Drake where he must have done a really good job.
I mean, at the end of the day, Gorilla, super reliable support. Finds it hard to take votes away with so many stars on his team. The exact role of a support sometimes can just be overlooked, but he had a great game here and moves up to 3,043 assists in his history in the LCK. #1 in assists. Of course, has had the very long tenure, has been around since end of 2013, I believe. Certainly wasn't started by 2014. And everyone remembers Coup Tigers onwards, so congratulations to Gorilla, one of our longest standing players here in Korea. 3,043 career assists.
Says Gorilla Hoiting, and then King Heart Zone. So lots of fans. As I said before, there's not an empty seat in this house. You guys can see all of the filled seats around this person. And let's take a look at a substitution. For some reason I couldn't think of that word, but yes, Cuz is going to come in instead of Peanut. He had a very explosive after 50-minute game on the Kazakhs, but we were talking about how we think that Cuz should work better with this lineup.
It definitely seems to look like that. He also, on paper, is, you know, this kind of more helping jungler to help strong solo lanes do their thing. But we need to see more evidence. He had a great game on his Kazakhs 1 MVP, but that was with Khan solo winning top lane and also BDD winning mid lane. So it made him look even better than his own performance made. He had some nice runs. He was in the right part of the map at the right time. I'd like to see Cuz in a more neutral game and see if he can swing it one way or the other without, say, you know, giving him the crown right now and saying that he should be the starting jungler for the team. I still think there is a lot to be understood when it comes to Cuz and Peanut's role.
Yeah, and the thing about Cuz is that, again, Peanut has had a lot of time to prove himself as a top-level jungler. There's a reason why he has so many fans and why every team wants him. And he did come to King Zone DragonX because he's still a rookie. He was a rookie last year. Now this is like his second season. And I want to see how he does as he gets older, more experience, and just better at the pro level overall. Because who knows? I mean, this guy was so good in his first rookie season for a rookie. Could get even better in the future. So guys, let's go into pick and ban for game number 2.
Because we didn't see any graphics, you will see that SKT has retained Tal and Effort into the lineup. Also Blank, I guess we should say. So no visit of Wolf into the starting lineup here is going to be something to note. The bans do start, and SKT don't want to deal with the Jace any longer.
Yeah, they never want to deal with that. And similar bans on the side of KZ, at least with the Vladimir. This time we are not going to be seeing the Sejuani. Still no AD carries have been banned out here, and even a Kha'Zix ban by SKT.
Could be a last ban Kalista, just to really empower Engage from the bot side, but no guarantees on that one. A Ryze first pick is looking very possible as well. Maybe you just ban away the Ryze and accept that Azir, Malzahar, these will have to be the mid laners that will be considered. Very difficult to choose from here, but SKT, the Ryze especially, such a big one for Faker, but they're not afraid of it. They're just going to ban away the Gangplank. Actually give us a new lease on life. When was the last time we saw Gnar and Gangplank both off the board? Vladimir also as a top laner. Top lane meta is going to be a bit different. You do see the flash onto the Nasus was banned in game 1. But the priority in Galio, week 1, almost none. Week 2, it is jumping up, and it's a first pick. That's pretty intense.
It's a whole new week, Papa Smithy. I know you're going to be here for every single one, so you can bring us through all the changes. Galio definitely going to be one of the new things here. They want to take it away from BDD. Faker always used to play it as well. It's just very high priority, as you were saying. Also, the Ezreal being hovered here by Kingzone.
Now you can lane basically anything into Galio. The only thing I've ever seen with kill pressure was the Malzahar, just the ability to just get an early Void Star for the Andres and actually do some damage. Not going to kill the Galio, but at least have threat onto the Galio. So that was one of the favorites in the past, but for now, Kingzone will hold on to their mid lane pick. You can also just go scaling against a Galio. Think of something like the Veigar that we've seen already this season. You could just go for the Azir and try to kite him out in the early game and do big damage in the late game. So a lot of options available against a Galio, not really forced to go in different directions. Corki is another favorite when it comes to scaling against a Galio, as SKT say, well, we'd like more Engage, maybe we'll have all of it.
Ooh. Maybe they're going to take a little page out of, who was that team that did the crazy Engage comp that one game? Was that Rox?
That was Rox last year. We see the Zac measured over. Remember, it is Blank who has the Zac skin himself for SK Telecom T1. The Camille was flashed. I feel like Kingzone have been the most heads up about the mind game, showing picks that they're not going to select and then moving over to other priorities. But Tal will have the ability to just rush onto that Camille pick, and the Kalista I mentioned is taken, so we're getting some ultra comfort here for SKT.
Also very high tier picks in terms of the AD carries. Kalista versus the Ezreal, and another high tier pick right there, Azir, making its way through the draft this time around. It's the game saver, right? The one pick that can save you even when it's like 1v3 on the Nexus.
Nobody beats Azir at 70 minutes. It's been one of the sub-stories of the LCK in 2018 so far. I want to pay a bit of lip service to the fact that Blank is our most noted jungle Camille player of the pro players here. He's played a lot of games on jungle Camille, around 40 to 50 in the past 2 weeks. So it is a flex pick for the side of SKT. Kingzone would do well to hold on to their top lane pick to the last. We have not seen jungle Camille in the LCK yet, but we know that it can be played. MLXG did play it for RNG over in the LPL, and it has been a popular pick. On the blue side, we do see a Jax ban. So Jax jungle has been winning a lot of games, mostly through the late game. We haven't seen the early ganking from the Jax jungle. And we do see the Jarvan ban, as Kingzone want to take away some of the first round junglers. Jarvan, Camille, and Galio would certainly be quite the initiation trio.
Yeah, it's just part of that wombo combo, get into the back line and get Galio into the back line as well. They want to take one piece away, the Jarvan a big piece, the Zac as well. And 2 jungle bans there in a row for SKT.
Now Kingzone seeing a team that is likely to be 5 initiators, given that whichever support they end up with can be thrown in with the Fate's Call. Let's see how they approach the draft here, because like you say, Wombo combo is almost assured by the first 3 picks, and Camille and Galio guarantee initiation. And they say, hey, if you want to fight in an AoE, why not run the Shyvana and have all the damage potentially there? But they disrupt, and it's not Nidalee from Peanut. It's actually Cuz in the lineup, but he's another jungle Nidalee player. Kingzone had 2 options, Shyvana, and then basically opting into what should be guaranteed team fights from SKT, or the Nidalee, and opting into trying to poke around, trying to skirmish, and more difficult to comp to pick up, especially in the ultra late game. but it's going to be Kingzone trying to actually make the Nidalee work. I believe this is the competitive debut of Cuz's Nidalee, despite it being his biggest solo queue pick the entire summer season.
Yeah, Nidalee, very hit or miss for me, I feel. You know, it seems to work with some poke comps. It works with the Ezreal. Gives you some nice sustain, even if you're getting poked down yourself. But overall, still waiting to see how effective it is, especially in those very late game scenarios. Tom Kent's still left available, is going to be picked up by SKT.
Definitely not selecting the Nidalee for the late game, though. They're going to try to be proactive, deny us another epic game like we had in the previous one. Is what do you take into Camille has often been a question. One of the famous skill matchups is the double zones, the Hextech Ultimatum, but also the Grand Challenge healing field to guarantee a fight there. Fiora is going to be locked in. Khan was smiling about it. There was the overlay, there was the famous interview where he said it's not about the Jace, it's about your fingers, play better. Fiora is in that kind of school of thought as well. She is another one of these skill matchups. She also has threat onto the Galio even as the game goes on with true damage. So Khan, it's always about Khan. It feels like with the side of Kingzone, he makes it all about him again.
I just love the fact that they're not saying, okay, let's go super late game. Let's mix it up a little bit, right? The Nidalee being thrown in. Tal, rather, is running away. He's like, oh, I don't like this composition. I'm going to run away. Looks like he's probably going to the bathroom based on where I saw him run. But he's going to the faraway one. Yep.
Not a toilet issue, hopefully.
Yeah, we got the confirmation that it is a toilet issue. So he will be back in just a minute, guys.
These are cool comps here. The Nidalee is in one non sequitur from the side of Kingzone. It basically says, hey, you know those 70-minute fights, we're probably not going to be able to do much. Nidalee in the ultra late game is kind of a heal bot. Doesn't really provide too much more than that. The damage is going to be absorbed by Galio. It won't even go half the way through his W shield. So very much about the early game, getting the Fiora rolling. If Fiora's firing on all cylinders, if Azir's hitting his item timings, maybe it doesn't matter, because in those scenarios where we saw disengage, where we saw teams pull back, those are going to be scenarios where they're going to have someone walk up, tank the Baron, and they say, hey, if you want to take a fight to us, we still have a fed Azir and Fiora, and the Fiora split push will also be relevant for the side of Kingzone. No true tank, though. It is only the Brawl.
I feel like once we hit 8.2, we're going to see a similar composition, but add in a Nunu instead of a Nidalee, right? With the buffs to Nunu, and if you combine that with Azir, it's just out of control.
I'm shaking my head already. Very preemptive head shake, but Nunu Azir is a combo I hope won't be fielded in the LCK. It holds unbelievable power.
If you're allowed to get that composition, might as well just like, okay, you guys won this game. Let's go into the next one. Next pick ban.
Good news. Tal is back.
Yeah. Not too bad of a toilet issue, it seems. He's right back in his chair. The chair wanted to have a chance at playing League of Legends, but Tal says no.
This is not a chair stream. This is a League of Legends stream, Valdez.
Yeah. Khan looks so ready to go. Look at him with a smile on his face. If he wins this with like some sick Fiora play, no doubt he'll get the MVP as well with a pick like this. Either way, guys, the countdown has begun. Let's jump into game number 2, Kingzone versus SKT. Here we do go. Match 15, game number 2. Blank taking a little bit of poke damage. The power of Nidalee at level 1.
And the invade was on. When you pick the Nidalee, whether it's Peanut or Cuz on the side of Kingzone, you expect there to be a lot of deep wards. If you know the enemy jungle pathing as a jungle like Rengar, whose ability to skirmish kind of purely depends on if he gets the drop. If he gets the drop, if he invades you, which is very unlikely, kind of need a power leash to do that, absolutely he can run rotate you and you have nowhere to escape to. If his only option is to jump from the brush onto someone who's already chunked him down, not going to be as useful in that scenario, and that's why Cuz just wants to know where he's starting. Doesn't need to take away his first camp. It's the second, the third, the fourth. Those are the ones that will be contested.
Cuz knows what he's doing on this pick. He's even got Khan with him here at the blue buff. Thinking about it, and they're going to start. Here comes the first spear, but you can see it's going to be a 2-on-2. Galio's going to get there first, but decides to back off. Looks like SKT should gain control of this, although Cuz is not leaving just yet.
But let's talk about what was denied from this. Because they monopolized the blue side, you saw Tal and you saw Blank enter the jungle, and you say, okay, but no buff was taken, you know, no harm, no foul. What usually happens when we have a mid lane Galio on blue side is a super leash on the bot side on the Raptors. We saw it yesterday from our first blue side Galio. There's no super leash available to Blank. His jungling time is going to be slower, and they're returning for an invade anyway.
So the smite was used. Blank cannot smite, but he's going straight onto Cuz. That's just what he wants. He's level 2. Cuz is getting low. The bolas
He's got nowhere to go.
He's got nowhere to miss. He's running right straight into Tal. That should be first blood. Blank gonna pick that up. Very smart jungling. Getting onto the Nidalee, knowing she would still be there, and getting that level 2 to fight up against her.
But a big mistake coming through from Cuz. Why would you go for the contest? You already denied there being a super leash, and there's no way to run. He was trying to juke left and right. Well, guess what? There's brush in both of them.
Yeah.
No way to get away from Blank. Really unfortunate stuff there from the side of the King Zone jungler. He's put himself in a hole, and he's in a skirmish comp, in a snowball comp. His lanes need him to be battle warding the Rengar to stop Rengar being a factor, and now he's trying to get level 2 3 minutes into the game.
Yeah, we can already see the result, right? Khan, he's not as comfortable to get super aggressive. He needs to put down a ward. He needs to get some vision on the Rengar. Cuz is going to pick up this blue. We'll see if he continues to invade.
I think he has to.
Oh boy, look at this. Oh man, Faker already being pushed out of lane. Does have the Unsealed Spellbook and the TP already. But yeah, the power of Azir against the Galio.
So again, consider that the super leash was denied here. That's why the level 1 plan, whoever put it together, was a masterstroke. Denying the super leash, denying Blank, getting free time. But by the time he flashes, he's like, wait, there is nowhere for me to go. There's no ability for Fiora at level 1 to influence this skirmish. It just ends up being an assist, so if anything, he gives gold over to the enemy laner there. So kind of a multitude of reasons why Cuz had kind of won the jungle race a little bit from his counter jungling previous to the level 1 fight, but going for the blue, that was too much.
Khan already showing off a little bit up in the top lane.
Kleptomancy is his rune also, so every time we see any of his abilities in an auto, you know that he's going to be proccing that very happily. Q also, instant procs it, so just trying to get a bit of gold generation going. Khan's Fiora, always a delight. Right at the start of summer season, when we're still learning about Khan, in a loss to SKT, he had that very famous game where he turned around a 1v3 in the enemy jungle. They went on to lose it, but everyone was talking about Khan's Fiora, and he was known as a Fiora one-trick before he came back into the competitive scene in his recent days in solo queues. So, very famous on this champion, but his win rate doesn't necessarily line up with the hype. His individual performance is great. Kingzone's ability to turn around and to translate his pressure into game victories, that part hasn't been as convincing.
Getting aggressive onto Faker, he's gonna blow his flash already. Remember that TP is still down. BDD once again wrecking Faker in the lane. It makes more sense in this matchup though.
Summoner Aerie taken for lane bullying, not going for anything else. Faker on the champion that he looked godly on at Worlds. Faker's Galio in some of those matches, 5 in a row against RNG in the semifinals. People said this was the reason they were winning, because of his ability to take over, losing top, losing bot, and roam everywhere. It's different runes now. The game has definitely changed, but no fun dealing with the Azir as the Galio early in the game before you have any magic resist to actually fight back.
Yeah, he's just gonna have to essentially hold his hand over the wounds until he can get some levels under him, get some resists, just abilities to sustain against all this. Tal gonna miss that, but we'll see. Well, was that even missed? Was it purposely missed to not get stunned?
Thanks around. We'll see that Krugs are down.
Okay, the level 6 is hit by both of these guys. Khan, he's gonna be stuck, gets stunned up. Here comes Blank. The bola's gonna go onto him. Will they die? Is the question. You'll notice that Blank just not confident enough to go for the dive just yet.
You also notice something even more important. Khan was not using his flash unless he absolutely had to. Holds onto it for the next gank. They turn onto a very early Drake. They're taking a lot of damage. Ocean is very slow to clear.
That it is, but it's also fantastic early game where it will matter, where it will be hard to take early. There's a reason, and That sustain going to help out even more, especially in that top lane. You were talking about the skill matchup. That little bit of extra sustain for the Fiora will make this matchup a lot easier.
I mean, they're fighting so much that it might not actually be proccing too often because of all the skirmishing canceling. We got to look at the runes here. Nothing surprising in the inspiration tree. Very, very standard stuff that you see in basically every solo queue rune page. If you're going to be going for the Kleptomancy and then just going for the tough skin, thick skin, I forget which one it is, but the armor in the Resolve tree and Second Wind as well.
The TP, keeping those minions there. Not getting any extra damage on the turret, though. Taking another look here at mid. Faker's still struggling just a little bit. Has another proc on his potion. Should be okay, but you'll notice that he is getting a bit behind on the CS.
It's moments like this that, you know, one of the big frustrations of AD carry players is that a lot of their champion pool, you know, they add AD carries slowly, you know, once a year maybe, and also AD carries have been lost to other roles. Corki's a mid laner, Graves a jungler. One amusing thing from this game is I kind of put 2 and 2 together and realized that AD carries got to teleport in and go golden in the preseason, so Riot gave them something. You can't complain that much.
That's true.
You got new summoners, you got new items, you know. What's there to be upset about?
Well, they kind of forced him into this meta of playing super passively and buying Relic Shield every time.
Hey.
I
don't want to hear this back talk, Valdez. It's my birthday, okay?
I
nailed
really
that color
sense,
point.
Bob.
It was a great point, wasn't it? Come on, tell me. It was great.
It was good.
Thank you.
It was good.
Thank you.
It was a good birthday point.
Well, Faker's had absolutely no fun in the mid lane, but only to the tune of a 15 CS disadvantage, which isn't that awful, given that we've seen him chunked out 3 or 4 times now.
Yeah, hard lane, laning against Azir for pretty much anyone. Very good laning presence, as well as the late game potential you were talking about, as no one really defeats him after 70 minutes. It's part of the reason why he is top tier, if not god tier at this point. Very hard to play, though. We've noticed that some people do not play very well. Kuro being pretty hit or miss on the champion.
And we noticed that Faker has been taking on the chin this game in the damage dealt graphs.
Wow.
3,400 damage to 200. He's done the least damage in the game because, well, the Qs aren't hitting, so... Yep, he's having no fun at all.
Yeah. He has the Q to push the wave. BDD obviously wouldn't stand in the Q.
I feel like his expression right now is the same expression he had after the loss in Game 1, stone-faced.
Yeah.
Being like, yes, a game is happening.
We are playing League of Legends. So
I wish I could play.
Yeah. It's warded up here. Blank is going to clear that out, it looks like. Make it a little bit more scary for Fiora up in the top lane.
Big regen advantage for Khan. Ocean Drake, you also get health regen from the Tiamat. And the Equalizing Corrupting Potion. He's going to be, I believe, spotted here, Blank, so they're going to trade reds, as, again, Faker just would love to be above 50% HP once.
Just once in his life. Because he's trying to make something happen in the bottom lane. His presence alone is going to push them off the turret, giving some substantial damage to that bottom turret, as you guys can see.
Mid lane turret will be necessarily chunked down, as Galio can only be there from time to time. Bot lane turret also taking a lot of pain. No real good news story in the lanes so far because of how mid lane has gone. BD has been able to play this lane so triumphantly so far. National's tooth done 10 minutes into the game.
104 CS. Right on time there. Blank, he doesn't really have much else to do after taking the red buff, so he's going to get to work on the Rift Herald.
He can't gank really any of the lanes, you know.
Yeah.
He's tried to gank top side, but Khan wasn't forced out of a summoner. Mid lane's Azir and bot lane's Ezreal Braum. So good luck with both of those. So just like Ambition and his very passive ways, he's trying to take the Rift Herald. He's going to need help.
Okay, Blank. Please, man. I've had enough tension in these games.
We would need the live Faker cam if he died to the Rift Herald there.
Slams the desk and just walks out of the booth. He's like, I've had enough. I'm joining King's Zone. Not sure they would take him right now, as BDD is pretty stable in the lineup.
That's definitely the embarrassment of Rich's story. I think you have to, but you feel bad about it. Khan has the ability to see wards, but there's no wards in front of him, just Tal, who they've been brawling with. Tal has gone investment banker first. He does have half his way towards the Cull cash-in as Cuz.
Okay, he's going to be flashing here, and look at this. Effort is right nearby. There's no escape for him.
Nope.
Can't jump over the wall in time, and Blank will get the kill. And they're not stopping there. They're coming behind Gorilla. Looks like a little bit, oh, okay, they're going to flash for it here. They want to get Gorilla. That's double flash. Or they're just the arcane shift from Prey, but at least they get the flash out of Gorilla.
I like it from SKT. They still have the hero's entrance. They're saying, okay, we can even outnumber you further. Big mistake from Cuz again, reading the jungle. He's pouncing over, trying to get more on the bot side against a litany of wards. There's so many wards there. And yet he goes for the play alone without map pressure. This is why I wasn't quick to say that Cuz on Longzhu will be better. Because you think back to the previous time he played, he was all over the enemy jungle, taking away camps. It was the right time. His lanes were winning. This time he's playing the same with his lanes in a much more equal position, especially on bot lane, where the lane wasn't in the right spot. Hard to be against double teleport bot lane. So he doesn't adjust his playstyle, and he gets punished.
Not looking quite as dominant without a, you know, a Jace that's underneath the enemy's turret and forcing the enemy jungle to not be in their own jungle.
Now, if he was just standing in the brush, throwing down spears and trying to take this turret, definitely excellent play. His top side.
Okay, Hextech ultimatum, but can he burst down Tal first? He's gonna push him away. He's going deep. He's gonna get it. The health regen is gonna come in, flashing away, and Blank should be able to get this, but what the hell? Khan gets away, and Blank goes golden.
It wasn't even close, Valdez. He still had his riposte and stopwatch available.
Unbelievable. Khan putting on a mastery show in the top lane. Saying to Tal, you should fix your fingers, buddy.
Every time I watch this man on my screen, I feel like I learned something new, that I see something new. Only he can redefine champions. I've seen hundreds of times. There's been plenty of Fiora over the years, but his economy of holding on to both the stopwatch and also the riposte is outrageous. We're going to watch the replay here. As he starts, uses the riposte the first time. He's going to be up by the end of this. Trust me, I was looking at the cooldown. He goes for the all-in. He's going around, flashes in, gets the auto attack. No, nothing for the hook to get onto here. There's so much minion tanking that Blank's like, I've got this, but uses his stopwatch. Khan gets away. Outrageous stuff from the Fiora.
Okay, well, we got the Fiora up top 1-0. Sitting pretty, has the Ravenous Hydra. Oh boy. This is
one of those days,
God,
huh?
Just one of those days for SKT. Those guys are, they gotta be frustrated. Faker, you know, we know he gets frustrated at times, having trouble in his top lane. At least Blank was doing good. He's sitting at 2-0.
Got the Rift Herald as well. He's going to use it in the mid lane. This is when Azir had backed. I imagine it was about timeout. Looked not necessarily like it was going to min-max the turrets. Not really sure what to make of that one. Does get them lane pressure for a little bit. The Drake's not spawning for a little while, so I don't really get the Rift Herald there. He had some junk in his inventory, a Rift Herald and a stopwatch. Doesn't anymore, so less buttons to press now for the Rengar. Oh!
It's a lot of damage. Red buff 2 that they stole earlier on. Effort is nearby, but Blank nearly goes down.
Yeah, things are escalating really badly here for SK Telecom T1. The last 3 engagements on any part of the map have gone completely the way of Kingzone. BD, not going to be able to get autos on the turret, so credit to Faker despite his health bar woes. He has been able to keep his turret very healthy. For now, Prey and Gorilla are sticking in the bot side. They have no ability to freeze the wave because of Iceborne Gauntlet onto the Ezreal, but they can invade with their jungler. Trying to spare some of the woes for Cuz, who's been the only person to fall on the side of Kingzone this game.
Oh, they're going on to Faker here. He's got some help. It's 4 members up against Faker and 2 red buffs. Tom Kents comes in and will save his life. But look at the pressure we're going to have in mid lane now. Double red buff and no way to get near any of these members. Should be the mid lane turret going down.
And it may not be the Nunu, but you can give attack speed as the Nidalee to the Azir in the mid game as well. Try to superpower him a bit. Maybe they've been duoing with the Azir Nunu and they tried to find the closest approximation in the game right now. Is Tal is way behind in items, so should not be taking a true 1v1 and does just pull away. Looking at the jungle proximity here, so much time from Blank spent on the top side to both relieve pressure, to create some doubt in the mind of Khan, and you know, well, he hoped, of course, to be fruitful into a gank. The gank didn't happen. When the gank did happen, Khan turned on the style under the enemy turret. All of that time wasted.
They're going. Here we go.
Who wins this, though?
Ultimate coming in. Can he 1v2 this time around? That's the real question. He wants the grand challenge here, but this time they've got Galio near. And that's going to be enough to take down Khan, or is it? He's still going. Always got to catch myself, but 1v3, not this time.
I mean, it's 1v4. There was actually Kalista walking up as well, trying to get involved, so that was a lot of bad guys. In the meantime, mid lane turret goes down. Azir's going to keep pushing. In fact, everyone's pushing. They were so tilted about the last attempt to kill that they really, really tunneled on killing that Fiora.
Certainly seems that way, giving a lot of map pressure and part of objectives as well. Even Nidalee coming down, they want to try to secure even more damage onto this turret.
Yeah, both inner turrets below 50% HP. Kingzone need to play brawler. They need to play aggressively because of the Nidalee. Nidalee has been well held in the game so far, and they're doing it. We found out a few days ago that Kingzone, when they get started, can do crazy things, as Tal's being smart here.
Oh boy. Prey is getting low, though. They will force his flash out. Faker is nearby, doesn't have that heroic entrance. Tal, he wants to go in. There's the flash. Immediate exhaust, and they turn it around. Back onto Tal. He's forced to be devoured and pushed away.
Definitely a team that trusts each other. When Kingzone got the lead in Game 2 of their last series, they blew away the enemy. They have it in terms of kills, but in every other variable, they are insanely far ahead of SK Telecom T1, who it almost feels like they need to stick the next gank or the next skirmish, because they've been oh so close multiple times. It hasn't been fruitful. A 3-0 Rengar, the only real good news story for SKT.
We'll see if Blank can be the carry this time around. He's certainly having a better game than Cuz on this team. I was noticing Faker actually trying to clear the minions. He missed 2 of them when there was nobody nearby. I hope it's not a bit of frustration coming into effect, or maybe it's just been a while since he's been spamming the Galio.
I won't necessarily read too much into that, but I will into his item build. Rod of Ages, not the expected magic resist, so it does mean he's more susceptible to the BDD poke. He's trying to go for the team fight here. Rod of Ages into Morellonomicon. The AP heavy build that Lava showed for the Rocks Tigers is more popular in solo queue. Kuro still full tank. A lot of people full tankers. Bot lane.
They're trying to replicate it here, but this time he gets the stun onto Blank. The heroic entrance, though. Flash coming in, and a heal from Cuz will get Khan out of the way. True Shot Barrage making its way through, but the engage not successful to kill Khan this time.
Now we can answer the question. How many people does it take to take down Fiora? It's 3. It's definitely not 2. The 1v2s are not working for the side of SKT, trying to outnumber the Fiora and just provide a bit of a distraction, but in that distraction, Kaz walks over. He takes down the inner mid lane turret. Now it's a super long lane, much harder for Galio to actually be in position. They take away the enemy blue buff as well. The amount of map control they're losing trying to kill the damn Fiora is really losing them basically every advanced position they have on the map.
Yeah, it's the second time it's happened. And we'll see if SKT mixes that up. Maybe they'll just give up on trying to kill Khan. Let Tal essentially take a losing matchup and get pushed in a little bit just to get some more pressure elsewhere on the map.
To be clear, it is not a losing matchup from the start, but in this position where there is gold on him and a CS advantage, it gets harder and harder. It's a true skill matchup. Reminds me of some of the ones that Ari used to have in the mid lane way back when we would say skill matchup. That's why it's so exciting, because it's flashy. It's a flashy skill matchup. You know, something like Shen versus Maokai is also a skill matchup, but that's about your skill at teleporting, your skill at reading the map. This is the 1v1 skill matchup, and that's why it's more exciting, because it just bursts into life basically every time the camera moves over to Khan and Tal.
Yeah. Well, seems like we've slowed down a little bit, but as I say that, Grand Challenge is used. Hextech Ultimatum. He's got Rengar nearby, but a perfect riposte right on the timing. Now we got another 1v1. Blank, you're not going to win that. He's got to run away. And already we're seeing what happens when you leave Fiora alone up against Tal.
And no ability for Faker to get there because he has other things to contend with, like an Azir, who's playing as if it's solo queue. He's pushing up. Yeah, I'll take a minion wave at your inner turret, whatever. No worries for him at all. Kuz is able to take the pandemonium across the map, makes it perfect for Nidalee. This is how you dream of every Nidalee game going, because there's never a 5v5. There may never be one in the game.
They're trying to be proactive. They're trying to get picks and snowball it into something, but it's against a Nazir. It's so hard to do that.
And every time they use 2 or 3, every time they try to wombo, well, they lost an objective top, they might lose an objective bot lane. This is the full court press team comp. This is the skirmish comp. We saw MVP try a Nidalee draft like this, not be able to pull it off. But when you have some of the most exquisitely talented players in the world on the same roster, Khan and BDD, you know, when it comes to mechanics, right up the top there, they can take skill matchups, they can take winning matchups in the mid side. They just make their headaches for SKT in every part of the map, and for SKT who just want Rengar to rush in as Galio ults, throwing in a Tahm Kench and then a Hextech Ultimatum. They've just never been able to do that in this game.
All SKT wants for LCK is a turret right now. They're not going to be able to get one as they're denied, and even the Fate's Call being used to get effort into safety.
All SKT wants is for Kingzone to group up as 5 in mid lane and start poking next to an inhibitor. That's the part where they're like, let's wait for our chance. Let's engage 5v5. That is what Kingzone never want to do. They want a Baron. They want to push 3 lanes. They got kill pressure in the Fiora lane. Azir can push out the Galio. The Pandemonium on the Rift is what Kingzone drafted for, and it's what they've caused, even if the kills do read SKT 3, Kingzone 2.
Let's take another look at this replay and how exactly Khan wins the 1v1.
Equal in levels, but Khan is up in items. Too much free damage by Tal. The ult goes down. By the time he uses the ultimatum, his life is over. He's always going to die. Blank may be 3-0, but it doesn't matter. You do not 1v1 a near full health Fiora. He runs away sheepishly. He's ulted now, though, but just scouting. Just trying to get much vision control as possible. The Baron buff going down is SKT's worst nightmare. The longer they can delay that, get us to the Fiesta 40 minutes, the better.
That's the dream. They're just trying to plug all the holes right now. We'll see if they can actually do it. Trying to get whatever vision they can around that Baron. You can see Blanks up there, but this time Effort is going to get caught. The ultimate coming out and then Nidalee coming in too. Does have that flash, but the Fate's Call still down. Almost means the death of Effort.
They have to use so much just to keep him alive. Now Blank's caught.
He's alone. He was over there trying to ward the Baron, trying to come from behind. Did not work out.
And that right there is Effort's fault. He walked up with Fate's Call down, is turned upon, and then Blank just has to pay the price of his support being out of position with no ultimate. And remember that Baron that was the worst case scenario? It's the reality.
24 minutes and 27 seconds, and we're going to have our first Baron of the game here for Kingzone. They're not slowing down anytime soon. And we talked a lot about tension and, you know, inexperience. Perhaps the pressure right now is getting a little bit to Effort and some of these younger players because they're not handling it very well.
Why does it always look oh so much better with Kuz? You have to say, is these second games. Whether it's second games, will this happen if Kuz starts a series?
Even when he feeds.
We don't know the answer. He's made some huge mistakes this game. You know, if it looked like a rookie mistake at level 1, this is a rookie mistake from Effort. He walks up and he's like, yep, Fate's Call. But remember, that was nerfed recently in a couple of patches ago, longer cooldown. They have to use Galio ult. Effort's gone, and then the poor Rengar, who's just trying to ward, is caught. I mean, unfortunately for him, you can't have that happen and then also be able to clear wards. So, goodbye, Blank. Paying the price for the sins of his new support. And now Kingzone have the Baron. And now that Fiora has a Baron buff to make those headaches come even quicker for Tal.
Yeah. You noticed he was trying to clear the control ward, but at that point he knew he was dead. I mean, there was nowhere for him to go, so he might as well try to take out the ward. It looked weird, but he had to do what he had to do at that point. He was already caught, had his ear behind him, and 3 members of KZ in front of him. So, the full court press. It's going to come in after Khan gets red buff, no doubt.
Level 16, 2 levels up, a Warden's Mail, a Spectre's Cowl. Do you know what this build says to me?
What does it say, Papa?
What you got? Magic damage, physical damage. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Bring all the bad guys. If you send 4 here, he probably takes at least 1 with him.
You'd have to imagine at this point. He's got the red buff now, too, so it's not like that guy can get away. The unlucky soul that he chooses most likely will be Tal.
And Kingzone weren't a good enough team to play this style when they were last playing Fiora, right at the start, the first round robin of summer season. They hadn't gotten everything together. But now that BDD has taken strides, now he really is more than just, I'll hold my thought, but more than just a Galio player. They have so many new styles and champions they can play, and they also have an inhibitor at 26 minutes.
Yeah. Effort seemingly getting caught again in the front. He was right next to the base, but you can get caught anywhere at this point. They forced the Fate's call out, and they essentially just let their inhibitor melt. Everything is going down right now. Turret after inhibitor. Kingzone pushing the top lane. Tal finally takes a decent trade, but again, it's Fiora. We'll see how that's going in a couple minutes.
No real engage here unless Rengar goes in, but he's just stutter stepping. He knows he can't dive in. They will lose a 5v5, a 4v4. Anything at this point in the game. They haven't been able to cement the items. They are behind 14,000 gold.
It's 3-3, and they're 14,000 gold behind. The kills truly don't matter, guys. 8 turrets. Blank disappears! A spear into an Azir combo, and he just disappears off the map. This game might be the fastest game we've had. 1v1ing Tal is Khan, and they're going for the end.
An end pre-30 minutes? Unthinkable, Valdez.
What is going on? That's going to be the 2-0 as well. Combo onto everyone that SKT has. Even if Gorilla goes down, he doesn't even. It's going to be the ace and the sweep of SKT in a 2-0 victory. KZ are the champions today.
3 times in a row, 2 B of3s, and a best of 5. Kingzone and Longzhu have defeated SK Telecom, but never like this, Valdez. They dumpster SKT in game 2 of this series. Cuz comes in, feeds a kill. It doesn't matter because this man on your screen is the god of Fiora, and Kingzone have made SKT look ordinary.